Hi Deborah. Playback loop of young Ahamkara's spine grenade gameplay, showcasing it with burning ambition. So here you can see that we just keep nading here, we keep getting it back. All of this will be explained, but I'm going to show you some nice pairings with young Ahamkara's spine. So the first thing I'm showcasing is burning ambition plus radiant with shield crush, keeps giving us our grenade back. There you go, you can see the playback loop there. Keep dodging, throwing knives, grenades, and so on and so forth. So I'm proving it to you that that's a nice playback loop, right? So that's our first pairing. Another little test here was with burning ambition, attrition orbs, Scientia. Yeah, so the idea is to keep getting orbs with some an orb mod on the boots to get grenade energy back. Plus it delves into with the burning ambition scorch stack, so that when we get that ignition, we then get that Tripmine, right? It helps towards it. But you need to have the boss already scorched via a knife trick for that to work properly, and then it will. So you need to keep scorch on the boss. Any other scorch you do via burning ambition aids in that of the Tripmine energy back, right? It's quite complicated. Here's Dragon's Breath. Now Dragon's Breath's interesting. It doesn't work exactly exactly the same as like maybe burning ambition, because the scorch, I guess it's coded slightly different. It's not exactly 1-to-1, but if you have that boss, like I say, already scorched, then there is a playback loop there. You can see on screen that there is. And obviously Dragon's Breath power, it's probably the most powerful solar exotic heavy weapon in the game, right? For many reasons. So, you know, like he was scorched there, look, and we wasn't getting that Tripmine straight away if you check the ability regen. Here's 1K Voices. Now 1K Voices is a little different. It's a little different. So there, look, as soon as you get that ignition, boom, you'll get that remainder of your grenade energy back. Because how young Ahamkara's spine's meant to work is you get 90% back always, even at 100 grenade energy. And anything else you do gets it to 100%. And then I'm showing you that with 1K Voices, you can do a beam, nade. And that wasn't even with knife trick. Now I'll show you with Finality's Auger. Now Finality's Auger does not scorch the target, right? So you're not going to get... If it did scorch the target, my God, this would be probably best in slot for this, right? But I'm just showing you the playback loop with Finalities, which it is good. It's okay. It's decent. Well, Finalities is brilliant right now, but I'm just on about... There's not really the interaction there like there was with Burning Ambition or Dragon's Breath, or etc. He's Prometheus Lens. So look, watch the grenade energy. So grenade, I'm not doing any knife trick on purpose. There you go, look. See that? Because Prometheus Lens scorches, right? So you can do that. Then when you start including knife tricks and dodges, it gets even crazy. So whilst Prometheus Lens is a good one with this, in endgame, would you use Prometheus Lens? And I have. I've been there. Yeah, and I've used it. And the answer is no, you wouldn't. Only if Overload Trace Rifle is on the artifact would you do that. And even then it's questionable. I already have solo GM with Prometheus Lens. So whilst this looks good on paper or in the shooting hall, in practice, in endgame, it wouldn't be all that good, right? Lord of the Wolves here. Now, Lord of the Wolves got a 20% nerf, but I'm just showing you that obviously Lord of the Wolves scorches. And it does kind of work with the Tripmine. I mean, it does, but look at that. We're not getting as many triggers on the nade energy. If you really pay attention and look at the grenade energy that I'm getting, look. See? So I am getting it, but the scorch is just a little bit, slower, I guess. The scorch stacks might be slower, the ramp up or whatever. But I'm just saying that when we're using Lord of Wolves, it is working. You can see that it is. There you go. If you combine it with a knife trick and so on and so forth. But it doesn't always work. Like right there, it didn't work. Here's Polaris Lance, if people wanting to know. Yeah, it does work with Polaris. Right? But again, not always. It did there, though. It did there. Again, it is a little bit finicky, but you can see there's also a little bit of a playback loop there. The only thing is with something like Polaris Lance, you're playing from a distance. And to hit a Tripmine grenade from a distance is quite difficult. Like I'm talking 50-60 meters away. So I don't see this being the pairing with it, but I am showing you that it does in fact work. Now, Skyburner's off for whatever reason just doesn't work at all. It just does. It's meant to scorch. It does, but it's not interacting with the young Ahamkara spine. Look, did you see that? I guess because the scorch ramp up is so slow on Skyburners, it's not working. So do you see how these are all slightly different? Watch Two-Tailed Fox. Watch this one. Watch what this does. Right? Grenade, rocket. I get it back every time. Hang on, let's count it up. 1, 2. See, it's scorching. It's scorching. So that's 2 nades off the thing. So every time I do rocket, I am getting that Tripmine back. 100% luck. Because you definitely get a scorch. Right? You're definitely getting it. So Two-Tailed Fox surprised me in this one. It really did. In the playback loop of young Ahamkara's spine, Tripmine, grenade, spam build, here's the information behind it. So the first thing is that you need to get stat distributions right to get the playback loop going. You need tier 7 melee stat and tier 7 class ability stat minimum with as high grenade stat as you can. That are the requirements. I'm not fully committing to the build, right? I'm not fully committing to it as in like masterwork and a young Ahamkara's spine and invest in cores. I am not. Because if I do that, I will be callless by Friday. So I'm going to get away with doing the video without having to really spec the build like that, like to really infuse it. I don't need to. We just want to know what it's like. What's it like in endgame? What's it like for the damage and all this sort of stuff, right? To get your playback loop going further, let's go into it. Now, any super can be used with this, to be honest. But anyways, Gambler's Dodge, Knife Trick. Knife Trick for Scorch. I've tested a bunch of knives today. Knife Trick's the better one for scorching a boss and getting that playback loop going, in my opinion. Tripmine Grenade, of course. Aspects, knock 'em down, gunpowder gamble. On your mark is not needed for this because you get Solar Radiant for free via the artifact. Fragments are Ember of Ashes, Torches, Blistering and Singeing. Singeing, you keep getting your class ability back if you have a weapon that scorches. That will keep giving your Gambler's Dodge back, to keep getting your Knife Trick back, to keep getting your Tripmine Grenade back, to keep getting your Knife Trick back, to keep getting your Dodge back, and then so on and so forth, right? Okay? That's why we've got that on. Blistering gives you even more Grenade energy back. Torches for Radiant, and Ashes increases Scorch stacks. The Achilles heel to this build is you can't run Ember of Imperium with it. Well, you can, but you're going to suffer. On one hand, you'll get that restoration, yeah, but then it's like, what's the point? You haven't got any playback loops, so there's no point running the build. I wouldn't, if I was running Ember of Imperium, I definitely just would not use Ahamkara's spine at all. I just wouldn't even bother using it, right? If there's no playback loop there, I just wouldn't bother with it. So that's what I'm trying to explain to you. It's got a massive Achilles heel. You can't run Solace. You can't use Ember Imperium. It's very strict in what you do to get a playback loop going. To increase the playback loop, we need weapons that scorch. Now, you just saw a load of footage of me using exotics that scorch. Skyburner's Oath, Lord of Wolves, Polaris Lance, Prometheus Lens, Dragon's Breath. Finality's Augur does not scorch, no, but I did show you the footage. 1K Voices, it does in fact scorch. Two-Tailed Fox, it does in fact scorch as well. And in my opinion, not only that, hang on a minute. And finally, Burning Ambition, which I showed you. Burning Ambition does synergize rather well with the young Ahamkara's spine build, because it adds to the playback loop of scorching targets to therefore get your class ability back to get knife tricks and such. But we are going to do a solo endgame test, a proper one, because people are starting to complain to me about this, that I'm not running minus 40 delta activities enough, and I do hear about that. But I also want to explain to you that if we do that, that's fine. Like in this case, I'm running minus 38 delta, which is minus 40. It's the same. You can forgive me over 2 power. But look at the card rank, lads. I done a minus 40 solo delta here on Whisper and didn't get anything proper. Do you understand it? This game's not designed to be played like that. It's not designed to be played like that at all. Just because you say that it should be tested in minus 40 conditions, that might be true. But in the meantime, I have to suffer and get no leveling processes as a result. Do you understand it? Right? So it's not just a case of you saying that. I'll test it under the conditions that you told me. Minus 40 delta. We're doing it minus 40 delta with no restoration. So we will truly test this build. So I want you to judge the build, not me, because we're testing the build in this run. We're not testing me. I've already tested myself for years, my patience with this. We're testing the run, the build, the Ahamkara spine, the grenades. So has anybody got any objections with this test? Please speak now or forever hold your peace. Minus 40 delta Whisper. That's what we're doing. The mods are Raging Cascade Banes, Difficult Solar Threat, Hot Step, Taken Denial, Taken Epitaph. I ran no middle mods because I don't care about it. And Solar Surge just to see, you know, I popped on a little Solar Surge because I'm already running at a massive deficit with a build that's not like Prismatic Hunter. So you know what I'm saying? So I just thought I'd pop that on. So yeah, there you go. So that's going to be the test showing you. And we've ended up, after all the weapons I tested with Scorch, I was like, you know what? I know that DB is going to be overall the best pick for me, especially when you're minus 40 delta and stuff. So I just went with that. But there is a little bit of playback loop with 1k voices and such. And Two-Tailed Fox as well. But remember, Ahamkara's got Burning Ambition, so it is going to help out massively just with a primary, just being able to get a good playback loop going. So I'm using Mint Retrograde, Bait and Switch, Ahamkara, DB, Artifact mods. Now, Shield Crush and Radiant Shrapnel are very handy on this build. Shield Crush will allow you to just get your Tripmine a little bit quicker when you're always Radiant. This is very nice. What else should I run? Right, okay, I've got Elemental Days. What else matters? Fever and Chill, Discount on Scavs. I've got some of these strand stuff on. Doesn't really matter for the run. But yeah, that is the artifacts and what I go with, like I say, with the stat distributions and stuff. So let's actually review it. Let's review it moment to moment, exactly how good or bad this performed. Okay, so here is that minus 40 delta solo GM being done with young Ahamkara's spine, as people have asked for me to do minus 40 delta with build testing. Alright, we'll do it. But make sure you eat your cake when you've asked for it, mind you. Don't just ask for a cake and then not eat it. You've asked, I've provided you. Right? But never blame a man for trying. If the build fails, it's the build's fault. Nothing to do with me, right? I do have to make some counters to make this run work. As in, I have to provide some of my own skill input to make it work, right? I'm going to speed up this footage for the puzzle. Because we were interested in combatant minus 40 delta gameplay with the grenades. That's what we're interested in, right? I'm confident on ability uptime after my test with the shoot and all. I know that I'm going to get plenty of nades in this, and remember Solar Surge is on as well to give us a little bit of a hand, but it's only given us a little bit of a hand. And I'm very interested to see what it does against these bosses, because in Whisper, the bosses are tanky at minus 40 delta. They're all tanky at that level, so just bear that in mind. So if a boss chunks, I don't know, 5% health or 10% health off a Tripmine, that's sizable damage at minus 40 delta. That's how these are meant to be played. Same with a champ. If a Tripmine hits a champ and it does, I don't know, say a third of his health, that's good. See, the whole dynamic changes at minus 40 delta. Your expectations are warped. If you only play at power, you expect everything to one-shot a champ. At minus 40 delta, that just isn't the case. So go into this with that philosophy or mindset. The mindset is right. We know that Tripmines won't one-shot a champ. Not at this level. We know that it won't. But how much will it actually do? And that's what this video is going to answer, right? Okay, so we dropped Arm. Whisper strat. I'm going to take Arm the 2 snipers. I am going to play aggressive. Remember, no restoration, no nothing. I'm going to clear out the ads in middle with a DB shot. DB is an acronym for Dragon's Breath, if you didn't know. DB goes in middle. I'm going to spawn in the second wave of ads whilst an overloads are still alive. I'll get a stun there. I use a nice nade with Gunpowder's Gamble, doing massive damage there, right? We get weak, but I was expecting to get weak to then get a prox ward overshield off that overload, because we're pushing the build, we're testing the build, understand it? Right, we get another Gunpowder's Gamble, which, by the way, that's doing incredible amounts of damage. So if there is one thing to take away from this, is that Wow, gunpowder's gamble. I don't know if Tripmine... I don't know if it's coded as a Tripmine and it takes benefit off young Ahamkara spine. Now that I've come to think of it, I don't know. Maybe someone knows that. Does it improve gunpowder gamble's damage? Because it is a... I don't know if it's coded as a Tripmine. I have no idea on that, honestly. I'm not a solo hunter main to know it. But someone out there might know. I've got a super to use. I've got... My ammo heavy's pretty good, but my special isn't. I was hoping for the unstop to push me. He hasn't. But we can shoot through these shields with mint because of barrier pulse, don't forget. So there we go. We'll get some stuns on this champ here. Got our trip mines, dodging. Let's see if we can get some nice damage in. There we go. DB goes in. Trip mine. He was not stunned quite there. That's the thing though. It does get a quick stun on unstops. Does trip mine grenades. It certainly does. I get very weak there, look. But good position and good movement will stop us from dying. 2 unstops killed. Not too bad, right? But obviously their shield was blocking a lot of the damage. So if your Tripmine hits a unstopped shield, it won't do no damage to the unstop. I hope you understand that bit. Let's take a knight, solar knight to my left. I want to take him first. Finish him off with a Tripmine, I think. Ooh, that's nice. If a nade can one-shot an orange bar at minus 40 delta, that's a pretty good test. That means it's... On the orange bar and red bar front, it's doing more than enough damage. It's whether it does enough damage against bosses and champions, because those are the next 2 tiers of enemies that we are worrying about in activities like this. Okay, we'll get rid of this knight. By the way, I didn't have Solar Scav on. I'm really missing Solar Scav in this. I just didn't have it on. It is what it is. I'm not running it back for the sake of the video, but we'll just keep going. So snipers, solar knights, getting hit hard here. Remember, no healing nade, no restoration. So I've got to then step in to the build and say, hang on a minute, you're failing a little bit. Let me outstrafe some of these ads for you, right? Because then the build starts to lack. So that's the question, isn't it? The golden question is, do you want to sacrifice a healing nade for an increased super damage powerful nade? And the answer to the question is probably not in most cases, unless you're up against some sort of big tanky boss that doesn't provide a lot of combat and difficulty towards you. That is it, you know. And there's not a lot of those instances in the game nowadays where that occurs. It just doesn't occur as much as it used to. 2 unstops behind us. I'm going to Dragon's Breath shot down on there. There's a golden gun here. I'm using 3-shot golden gun just because I'm just using that, right? It's just what's on at the minute. Nice stun there with the gunpowder gamble low. Nice. Getting in finishables, nice as well. So the nades, when a champ is stunned, of course, they are doing the damage. It's not. It's the survivability element of the build, right? I mean, look at right here. I'm having to basically tactically stun an overload to kill snipers, to then keep overloading an overload from, what's this, 50, 60 meters, and I'm not allowed to push this engagement. Can you see it? Can you see that these scions will kill me if I push this engagement while trying to kill the overload? Can you clearly see that? So I'm having to account for that, right? A lot of the run will be covered up. The weaknesses of the run might be covered up by some of my gameplay. You know, altering with the ads, working with the environment and stuff. Straight out, strafe and damage. Knowing where to stand. Exact positioning. All this stuff is covering for the build and its weaknesses. But it is hella fun, right? That is the thing. I think because of where the game is built around damage resist now. With the identity the way it is, oh, nearly got knocked off map there, we're alright. With the way the identity is in the game, which is a good thing, that's not a bad thing. But the way it is, our old subclasses, especially Solar Gunslinger, right, without restoration that is, really does suffer in things. Especially if you're minus 40 delta and you've got no DR. Yeah. Solar Kit does have a lack of DR. It really does. There's no damage risk there, is it? It's just all about restoration. So if you're playing on a mono solo subclass and you're not using restoration, then you're automatically thrown already. But as I've said, to make this build work, you want Ember of Singeing on, for sure. It goes on, right, to allow that melee dodge grenade gameplay playstyle. And that's the whole point of the build. Once I start taking that stuff off, the identity of the build is lost, and it's pointless to even think about it then. Then we may as well just go on Nighthawk. What's the point? You see what I'm saying? If we're going to go Ember of Solace and all that, may as well just go, I don't know, Nighthawk. Shards of Galanor, Blade Barrage. Yeah, if we're talking true, just solar subclass. But I mean, you know, we can't just do that. We've got to test things in the game. I spawn in the first boss, with the most awkward boss being the Phalanx. I end up spawning the first two bosses. So yeah, you can see we're getting it hard here. The Phalanxes are going to spawn in. The Centurions, which they can be annoying with their void stuff. So I'm pretty weak here. I'm having to back up into the back cave. I can't do what a Prismatic Hunter would do with his Gifted Conviction Ascension. You know, with his Threaded Spike. Can't do that. But if an opportunity presents itself, like now, we can. Yeah, so going with a DB, 2 thrown knives, a Tripmine, a super, nice damage against his -40 Delta bosses. Not bad. Getting him immediately below half isn't bad at all, right? That's not bad, that. But the opportunity needs to present itself to us to pull off the damage. That's the thing, you see. You can't just go in the middle of the battlefield and say, hey, here I am with my throwing knives. You're not allowed to do that. You've got to strategize it, because you lack of healing nades, lack of DR, lack of ascension, lack of this, lack of that. But on a pure basis of just melting that guy down, that was good. That did pass its test. But remember, we have got Solar Surge on. Remember, there was Solar Surge on this run, right? There was. So we've got to acknowledge that also, right? Centurions pushing us. It is nice to just stun the ads and, you know, with a nade and throw the Tripmine and run off, and so that they stagger and such. That is a good little thing to it. Got some invisible marauders, invisible minotaurs in middle. I'm going to try and get rid of some of these scions, because I don't want them to multiply me, which they like to do that. We'll need to get rid of this minotaur, so that I can push outside a little bit and deal with the Centurion. 2 blights hit me there. No void resist, but I don't generally rock void resist for Whispers GMs anyways, because there's not much void in this. It's only the Centurion phase that it's a problem. After that, it isn't a problem. I'm just going to clear the room at this stage, because there's 2 Centurions up. Well, there's an extra one, so I'm going to get rid of him, just because he's ruining my day a little bit. We're also rocking a low weapon stat as a result of the build. Because the build is so stat heavy, I can't run a high weapon stat, so I'm starting to feel a lack of ammo drops. I'm starting to feel it right now. Bear in mind, I've only banned. Oh, we missed our DB. That's unfortunate. We only banned it a few minutes ago, right? I use my Super A because we just get rid of it so we can use another cooldown. Got 4 DB shots left, which is fine at this stage, because this guy is the most annoying out of the 3 bosses for sure. Hopefully he should burn out. It's always better to do your nade then throw a knife, because your throwing knife will immediately give your nade back. It's generally better to do that, but on the moment-to-moment gameplay, you can't always have it work out or play it like that. You've got to interact with the ads. You know, what are the ads doing? Are they pushing you harder than usual? Are you weak? Are your shields broken? And there's all these other considerations to make. You can't just say, well, I'm gonna nade and throw my knife every time. I'm going to do it exactly like that every time. That just isn't going to happen. Not on a solo basis like this. Minotaur phase. I'm looking for ammo now. I'm starting to think about ammo. What ammo is in middle? Ahab chat absolutely destroying these ads. That's one thing that is this weapon is actually saving the bill in this run. It absolutely is. Heal clips adding survivability to the run. Yeah, without heal clip, I would be really struggling on this run without it. I really would be. Okay, final boss. We'll spawn him in. Oh, he spawned at the back of the map. That's fine. I'll get a DB shot on. And a gunpowder gamble. Some golden gun. I'll get rid of one of the wizards as well. Because 2 wizards is far worse than 1. For sure, if both of them push you at awkward spots. That could be a potential kill trigger. So we'll do a little bit of grenade and meleeing behind this pillar. That's nice. That's nice. Like I say, if we can pull it off, it is there. But again, the game, Bungie doesn't allow you to just fight bosses on their own anymore. It's always adds. There's always an infinite wave capacity. With encounter design nowadays, that's what it always is like. So we can't just, you know, sit in middle and just do that, right? It does beg the question that I think that Solar should have some sort of DR. I'm going to say every element should have damage resist allowed to be built for. Every single element. I know you're going to say, well, Solar has restoration and that's OP. Well, it is. It is OP, but Bungie has nerfed it a couple of times. I know restoration times 2 is OP, but I'm just saying that I think that standard gunslinger is a little weak compared to what else is in the game, and if we don't do anything about it, it'll stay weak. So you can say what you want really. Oh well, they don't need to do this or that. Well, if they don't, no one will use it. That's the D2 psychology of players. They won't use it, and that's it. Until they know that they can use it, or they get confidence from somebody to tell them, yeah, you should use this in PvE. It's a bit of a sweet gem. And this can be, but again, it's the lack of DR. It's the lack of the... But we've done a test. This is what people wanted. They wanted the -40 delta on build tests. Alright, well, we'll do it. 2 wizards. I'm low on special here. I am very low on special, so I'm going to have to use my mint on... I mean, 2-3 shots will get rid of this wizard, though. As long as he behaves himself. Just about. Okay, so final boss. So there's ammo in middle. Look, I'm struggling to get that ammo. My God, shoot to loot. Where's my shoot to loot at? But we can't run shoot to loot, can we? Because we're using a hail clip, of course. So do a couple of nades on this boss. That's nice stagger damage. Let's include a bit of DB with it. Don't just evaluate the nade damage, because in real world circumstances you would definitely hit a boss with your heavy weapon and a nade. So you wouldn't just review it and say, right, well, what's the grenade damage? Well, no. What's the grenade damage in combined with a damage rotation that you were doing? And in this case, it's DB. And what's that like? And it's pretty good. It's good, you know, because this boss is tanky at this level. He's not the general level that we do him at, where we do our speed farms. He's got much more health than that scenario, right? I've got plenty of special now, so that is good. Lowish on heavy, but now we're starting to get ammo, right? I'm starting to farm up a couple of bricks. I'm going to do some gunpowder gamble damage on the boss. That's a nice chunker. That's nice chunker. The Tripmine and gunpowder combo on a boss is nice. I must admit it is a nice chunk. But I need to send this boss away, to be honest, because I'm ready for final phase. I've got enough DB to send the boss, to kill the boss, that is, and enough special to deal with the wizards and the boss as well. And I've got another special brick there. That boss is just laying in that cave the entire time, so that's not an option for me to go out that side. So I'm going to loop round the back. Look at this. He didn't see that coming, did he? Loop round the back for that Taken Shield Weaver. There we go. That's one. And this is a little bit hairy on this, because like I said, there's no way to really pitch up. I do get my revenge arc. I'll show you my revenge arc. Just watch these chain of events. So we get rid of this damn guy here, Pop Super, to try and jump on the map. This is the greatest comeback in history, Destiny 2. No turn back, 0-1, 0-2. Oh man, we've lost our super and we fell off map. But we're not. I'm not giving up for nobody, right? What a run this has been on Tripmine Ahamkara. But we're not. We're keeping it flawless. I refuse to die. Look at this. Hey, you find out something new every day. Look at this. We get the mantle. We get back up off that ledge with a determination to destroy this boss. He's wasted my super. So we're going to get him back. This is my revenge arc for him. I'm pushing it up to 5th gear now because of that, right? So I'm thinking, hang on, where can I pitch up to quickly do damage? There is a pillar in mid. So I'm like, if I do enough stagger damage, you should stop staggering me. So there we go. We're going with some Tripmines, Gunpowder Gamble, bait and switch. Have I got bait and switch? I should have bait and switch on. What am I doing there? Should have bait and switch procced. DB. Look at the super regen. Look at the super regen. So it's very good for that. Little bit of a revenge arc here. Get on this pillar. Keep stunning him. Super. That was the solo GM test on young Ahamkara's spine. You make your own decisions on the matter. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.